In the third week of April, before the tomato starts go in the ground, before the peas are up, before anything in the vegetable garden is close to ready, one crop on your property is already at harvest size. You planted it. You paid retail for it. You have been raking around it every spring for 20 years. And this same week, in a supermarket in northern Japan, that exact plant is sitting in a refrigerated case, sealed in a sleeve, stamped with a barcode, and sold at a premium as a spring vegetable, complete with a harvest season, a growers' cooperative, and a regional brand name. Welcome to nature's lost vault. The shoots emerge furled tight, pale at the base, cool and crisp when you snap one off. The flavor lands somewhere between asparagus and butter lettuce, carrying a faint slickness like young okra. 100 grams delivers 50 milligrams of vitamin C. An orange carries 53. It thrives in deep shade where almost nothing else survives. It asks for no fertilizer, no watering beyond rainfall, and no replanting. Cut it in the spring and it returns. It will repeat that quiet cycle for 30 years. Every American garden reference in print lists this plant, or rather, they list the leaf. The reason you have never eaten it has nothing to do with flavor, and nothing to do with safety. It comes down to two men, and a decision about which half of the plant was worth money. In Japanese markets, this vegetable is known as urui. It belongs to the sansai, the revered mountain vegetables that emerge from the snowmelt in the hills of Tohoku and tell people winter has finally broken. Urui is harvested 7 to 10 days after the shoot breaks ground, while the leaf is still rolled into a tight tube. Japanese grocers call it the breath of early spring. The species driving that market is Hosta montana. Obagiboshi, the large leaf hosta. You know that first word. There are probably a dozen of them lining the front of your house right now. In Yamagata Prefecture, farmers lift dormant hosta crowns into greenhouses in late autumn and keep the emerging shoots shrouded so that no light reaches them. The deprived stems rise up white, so tender they are eaten raw in salads. That product carries its own prestige trade name, Yuki Urui, or Snow Urui. Elsewhere, the green shoots are battered for tempura, dropped into clear broth and miso soup, or served cold with sesame dressing and bonito flakes. The Japanese food composition tables, 8th revised edition, lay out the nutritional reality. 100 grams of raw urui carries just 19 calories and delivers 50 milligrams of vitamin C, 160 micrograms of vitamin K, 390 milligrams of potassium, 120 micrograms of folate, and 1900 micrograms of beta-carotene. Vitamin C of citrus, and a full day of vitamin K, thriving in the one neglected strip of your yard that gets zero sun. Nagasaki Harbor, 1823. A German physician named Philipp Franz von Siebold arrives at the Dutch trading post on the artificial island of Dejima. Japan is closed to the outside world. Siebold spends 6 years practicing medicine, quietly assembling the largest collection of Japanese plants and animals any European had ever held. In October of 1829, Japanese authorities place him under house arrest and expel him for possessing forbidden coastline maps. He sails anyway, and he takes the collection with him. Arriving in the Netherlands in July of 1830, Siebold settles in Leiden and turns his smuggled biology into a lucrative business. He sold Japanese plants to European gardens by the hundred. He introduced Japanese knotweed, which is a disastrous story for another day. He is also the man who introduced hostas to Europe. He marketed them strictly as garden foliage. There is no historical record of anyone in Leiden asking the Japanese what they did with the shoots. 30 years later, the same botanical misunderstanding reached America, and this time the architect worked for the United States government. Thomas Hogg Jr. was born in London in 1820 and raised in New York City, heir to one of the region's first commercial nurseries. In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln appointed Hogg a United States Marshal and assigned him to the American consulate in Japan. He held that post for 7 years, and he spent those years shipping native Japanese plants back to his family nursery in New York, and to Samuel Parsons, a Long Island nurseryman who propagated them for the American gardening public. In 1880, Parsons wrote that Hogg had given America more new Japanese plants than any collector since Robert Fortune. Among Hogg's most famous introductions were 2 variegated hostas. One is still sold today under his own name. Here is the crucial detail history glosses over. Neither man was hiding the plant's edibility. They were selecting for profit. A variegated leaf sold for more money than a plain green one, so variegation crossed the ocean. The culinary shoot stayed in Japan, because nobody in the Western botanical pipeline was in the vegetable business. American breeders then spent a century finishing the job. There are roughly 7,000 named hosta cultivars today. The American Hosta Society, the international registration authority for the genus, calls it the most widely planted perennial in the temperate United States. The National Garden Bureau named 2024 the Year of the Hosta. Read any nursery catalogue, and the modern breeding priorities are printed in plain language. They praise thick substance, heavy wax, deep corrugation, and excellent slug resistance. One popular listing advertises that the heavy leaves keep slugs at bay, which is a polite way of saying that generations of horticulturists selected an edible Asian vegetable for the specific trait of being unappetizing. And they succeeded. But while the nursery trade was making the leaf tough and waxy, the wildlife in your yard has been voting the other way every night. The North Carolina Cooperative Extension lists the hosta under the heading Deer Candy. Michigan State Extension reports that deer prefer hostas over many other plants, seeking them out selectively. The Home and Garden Education Center at the University of Connecticut connects the dots outright. Their bulletin notes the young leaves are edible and traditionally served in Japan raw, boiled, and fried in tempura, then concludes that this inherent palatability is exactly why local gardeners call the plant deer candy to begin with. The animals in your yard have been telling you what this plant is for 20 years. You have been buying chemical repellent to argue with them. Then Yamagata answered back. Sometime between 1912 and 1926, a hosta with striking cream and gold edges appeared in a private garden in Saga City. Saga sits in the Yamagata Basin, the same prefecture where farmers blanch hosta shoots in the dark and sell them as Yuki Urui. The plant was registered in 1996 under the name of the city that produced it, Sagai. It won the Royal Horticultural Society Award of Garden Merit in 1993. In 2000, the American Hosta Growers Association crowned it Hosta of the Year. Sage City lists it as their official municipal plant. So the one Japanese prefecture that commercially farms this genus as a staple vegetable also handed America one of its most heavily decorated ornamentals. 2 identities, born in one basin. America imported only one of them and handed it a trophy. There is one final piece to this vault, and it should permanently change how you look at your flower beds. Foraging wild urui in the mountains of Japan carries real risk. 2 native false hellebores, both veratrum species, send up spring sprouts that closely mimic Hosta montana. They contain steroidal alkaloids. Eating them brings vomiting, blurred and jumping vision, a slowed heart, and plummeting blood pressure. Japanese poison control centers log these mix-ups every spring. You do not have that problem. You bought the plant. You put it in the dirt yourself. The The plastic nursery tag is probably still sitting in your kitchen drawer. The safest hosta harvest on Earth is happening in an American front yard every April, and nobody is taking it. So take it. Cut in early spring, 7 to 10 days after the shoots break ground, while the leaves are tightly rolled. Work the outer ring of the clump and leave the center crown alone. Harvest no more than 1/3, and the plant carries on as if nothing happened. Boil the shoots for 30 to 90 seconds before they reach the plate. The traditional Japanese method mandates that step for a reason. Hostas carry saponins, the same class of bitter, soapy compound rinsed off raw quinoa, and the reason poison control lists raw hostas as mildly toxic to dogs and cats. Saponins are water-soluble, so a brief rolling boil pulls them out. From there, dress the shoots cold with sesame, drop them into hot miso soup, or batter them for tempura. One rule holds above all others. Only harvest from hostas you have never treated. No systemic insecticide, no synthetic fertilizer in the bed. Back to the 3rd week of April. The shoots are pushing up along the shaded north side of the house. Furled tight, pale at the base, snapping crisp in the cool air, exactly the way a farmer in Sage wants them. You have been growing a Japanese vegetable garden in your flower bed for 20 years without knowing it, all because one nurseryman in New York decided which half of the plant was worth selling. The tag in that drawer says ornamental. The plant has never once agreed with it. Subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault, and the next vault opens soon.